It's a great day at the Academy of Scholars. Welcome to another episode of Scholarly Speaking Live with Dr. Stacy Lambert-Johnson, the Director of Student Success at the Academy of Scholars. I am Benny Crane Jr., the Assistant Director of Student Success. Today's topic will discuss how to deal with a whining child.
Thank you for joining us for today's live session. No matter where you're joining us from, whether you're at work or at home, we pray that you're having a great AOS day and hope that you can visit us here on campus someday soon. So last time we talked about how to raise a leader and not a follower. It was a great one.
Yes.
I hope that you got an opportunity to see that episode. This week we're discussing how to deal with a whining child. But before we get started, Benny, where can our viewers watch today's live session once it's over?
Everything from this show ends up on our website, academyofscholars.com, including both the audio and video versions. Now, if you prefer watching us each week, you can find the video version on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Instagram. If you're looking for something entertaining to listen to on your drive to work, you can download the audio version anywhere you download your favorite podcast. Now, shout out to all the people who are joining us live today. And for those of you who follow us on our social media platforms, we appreciate you joining us. Do us a favor, tell your friends we're on. All you have to do is hit that share button right there, comment, and tell us about how your child handles no's and disappointment. Are they whiners? And when they whine, how do you handle it? Does it annoy you to no end? Tell us. We want to know.
So, Benny, I was in the grocery store the other day at the checkout line, and this little boy, about 5 or 6 years old, and his mother were in front of me in line. Now, he grabbed a pack of M&Ms, and he asked his mom if he could have it. Now, she said no. But this kid was not going to take no for an answer. He responded by saying, "Please." Just like that.
Wow.
Non-stop for a full 30 seconds while his mother completely ignored him and finished paying for her items. Finally, she walked away with her groceries with him following right behind her, just repeating, "Please, please." I smiled to myself thinking about when my children were little and how I would have handled that. And you know what I realized?
What?
We need to do an episode of Scholarly Speaking Live on how to deal with a whining child.
The thing is about whining, Stacy, is it's so cute when other people's children are doing it. Mm-hmm. What did you think about when it was happening? Were you thinking at first that this is cute, or if this were my children, I would have strangled them?
Both.
Now, my kids whining only really annoys me when they act like they don't want to do something we want them to do because it's too hard, or they don't want to try on their own. They really don't ask for anything outrageous or ask for things that we have to say no to. So I really only get mad mostly because I value work ethic. If I could wish for anything for my children, it's that they would have an insatiable work ethic and this undying desire for success. So when they don't show a high motor or a desire to try, I'm just undone. And if they whine, it really sets me off.
Now, first off, parents, let me tell you that whining is a normal practice for young children because they haven't learned a positive, productive way to get our attention or to get their needs met. Yeah. So they resort to whining. The reality is that the whining only continues if we, the adults, condone and pacify the behavior. And because kids are smart, they only continue a behavior if it works for them. Mm-hmm. So what can we do to ensure that we do not create a whining monster and stop our whiny child from turning into a whiny adult? Here are a few suggestions. First, come up with a plan on what to do when your child whines. Everything that I've written by the experts recommend putting your hands over your ears when your child starts to whine and tell them that you cannot hear them because they're talking in a whiny voice. Then tell them to try again using their normal voice so that you can hear them. Once they respond in their normal voice, respond right away, calmly and pleasantly. If you do this consistently, every time your child starts to whine, you'll curb the behavior, not overnight, but eventually.
Yes. And be sure that all parties who interact with your child do the same thing as well. Mm-hmm. The other parent, older siblings, teachers, etc. Nana and Papa's too, right? The more people you can get on board with curbing this behavior using the strategies that you use at home, the more consistency you'll have that will eventually lead to ending the behavior.
That's true. Now, second, discuss whining with your child by coming up with a household rule. Explain to your child that they are to ask nicely for something and accept the answer. In our pre-K and kindergarten classes, I often hear the teachers say, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. They usually say this when it comes to snack time, or if they are passing out a toy or a puzzle to the scholars and want to make sure they don't start whining or get upset about what they received. They have discussed the expectation, so they don't expect the whining or tantrum.
You get what you get and you don't pitch a fit.
That's right.
That's one of my favorites. My wife was actually the first person I've ever heard use that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
Now, third, provide a warning. When the pre-K and kindergarten teachers tell the scholars, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, they're actually providing a warning regarding the expected behavior. Parents should do the same with a child who has a bad habit of whining. Before going into the store or doing something that may cause the child to start whining, provide a reminder that there is no whining, giving the child a heads up.
Yes, this really goes hand in hand with you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit from the previous suggestion. The only way our kids will know and embrace the sentiment is to repeatedly say it so they'll remember it. And the best time to say this is before they get what they get.
Right.
If you wait until they start pitching a fit to remind them you get what you get, it's too late. So get ahead of it, especially when you know they're likely not to get something they want.
That's right. Now, fourth, always stay calm and don't give in. Let me say that again. Always stay calm and don't give in. Parents, this is important. Remember, children only continue behaviors that work for them. If you give in to their whining, it will become the norm for how your child will behave when interacting with everyone in hopes of getting what they want. Instead, take a deep breath, do some woosahs, put some music on, anything to give yourself some time to gather yourself before flying off the handle or giving in to your child's whining.
Now, when we hear stories about great leaders, it always seems like great leaders have all the right answers at the right moment. Their stories make us feel like the right moment is always right now, and that's just not true. And the same is true about parenting. You don't have to respond right now, and many times you just shouldn't. You've got to take your time. Take your time, breathe.
Fifth, and this is easier said than done, ignore the whining. I know. Giving attention of any form, including negative attention, reinforces the behavior. Ignore attention-seeking behavior like whining to effectively change the behavior. If your child sees that you completely ignore them when they start whining, they will engage in it less because they're not getting what they want.
Stacy, this one is kind of counterintuitive because we feel like if we don't address this certain behavior, we're condoning them and they will continue to happen. But in the end, they're only whining.
Yeah.
We're not talking about them being disrespectful here. So just let it go and don't respond.
Right, and you didn't give in.
Right.
Now, 6, provide positive attention as soon as the behavior stops. Again, this reinforces the behavior that you want. Your child will figure out soon enough that they get attention, which is usually what they're seeking, when they engage in positive ways.
For example, when your child finally accepts the snack they got and starts eating it, ask for a little of it and act like it's the best thing you ever tasted. Or tell him what you like about it. Like, I love the explosion of flavor I get when I bite into a grape. What do you like best about grapes? Now, you have to be careful, especially when your child's a little older, because this may sound condescending and fake to them. But for your younger children, this really could turn their attention fully from not getting the snack they wanted.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes.
Now, finally, to prevent whining in the future, help your child master the skills they need to handle their uncomfortable emotions, like frustration, sadness, or disappointment, without whining. Role play situations that can cause these emotions and help them to recognize how they feel and how they should manage these feelings. Usually, managing feelings means that they recognize how they feel and deal with the feeling by problem solving, doing something that will help them cope, like coloring, doing a physical activity like jumping jacks, or some other activity. Make sure you guide them through the problem solving process when you do this, getting them to tell you alternatives to what they can do instead of whining. Well, what do you think? What strategies do you use to stop your child from whining? Have you used any of the recommended steps that we shared today? Comment and let us know your thoughts on today's topic.
And if you're looking for more information to help you stop your child from whining, go to our website at academyofscholars.com/scholarly speaking resources. In the meantime, we suggest you check out the book, Say Goodbye to Whining, Complaining, and Bad Attitudes in You and Your Kids by Scott Turansky and Joanne Miller. Now let's be honest. Sometimes our children exhibit the behaviors they see from us. So Turansky and Miller's book challenges parents to establish the biblical principle of honor in our homes, where not only are children honoring parents, but parents are respecting children and children are honoring each other. This book gives practical suggestions to bring that goal a little closer with suggestions for parents and kids of all ages. And remember, no matter where you live in the world, you can give your child access to an exceptional Christian affordable education with the Academy of Scholars Premier Online Learning. Not only does the Academy of Scholars give your child the opportunity to engage in school at their own pace, but we also provide a comprehensive curriculum with classes like coding and computer science that will have your child excited about school each day. The Academy of Scholars Premier Online Learning is the online school you've been looking for.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's live session. To learn more about our amazing school, the Academy of Scholars, please go to our website at academyofscholars.com. Join us next week as we continue our live discussions. Next week, in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, we'll be talking about things parents can do to support their child's teacher. Until next time, I am Dr. Stacy Lambert-Johnson.
And I'm Benny Crane Jr.
Saying goodbye and be blessed.
The Academy of Scholars. Exceptional, Christian, affordable.